Hello students, welcome to Saijan Academy. Myself Bhimanayak L. So in this session I am going to solve question paper DCT question paper 2020 for civil engineering branch. Subject is hydraulics. So from the subject hydraulics we can get 9 questions for 9 marks, and I am going to refer question paper series C1. So DCT Diploma Common Entrance Test 2020 for civil engineering branch. Subject is hydraulics, which is for 9 marks. So we will get 9 questions from this topic. So from question paper series C1, question starts from 107 from the subject hydraulics. So question number 107: when the water level on the downstream side of a weir is above the top surface of the weir, then the weir is known as dash. Option A, narrow crested weir. Option B, broad crested weir. Option C, oogie weir. Option D, submerged weir. So what is a weir? Weir is made up of metal or concrete structure in order to measure the flow rate through canals. So to measure the flow rate of canals, we are going to use weirs. So there are many types of weirs. There are many types of weir, such as narrow crested weir. So the water flow about the weir, that amount of water is known as crest, or the portion above the weir is known as crest. If the crest is very narrow, or very thin, then the weir is known as narrow crested weir. If the crest is broad, then it is known as broad crested weir. Broad crested weir. If the weir is attached to a cement concrete, so see, in narrow crested or broad crested, so the flow of water, the flow of nappe or sill is like this. So in order to get away from that crest, we are going to provide a concrete structure with weir is known as oogie weir. So where the crest falls away from the weir. So this type of weir is known as oogie weir, where we are going to use cement concrete. So cement concrete with the weir. So in case of narrow or broad crested weir, there is no cement concrete. So this is sill or nappe. The sill or nappe is an empty space. But in case of oogie weir, the nappe or sill are replaced by a cement concrete. So next, submerged weir or drowned weir. So is a weir in case of this weir, the downstream water, this is the upstream water, and this is the downstream. The downstream water is always above the top surface of the weir. That type of weir is known as submerged weir or drowned. It is also known as drowned weir. So when the water level on the downstream side is above the top surface of the weir, then the weir is known as submerged weir. So option D is the right answer. In case of narrow crested weir, the downstream water is not above the surface of crest. In case of broad crested weir also, the downstream water is not above the top surface of the weir. And in case of oogie weir also, the downstream water is not above the top surface of the weir, but only in case of submerged or drowned weir, the downstream water is always above the top surface of the weir. So that type of weir is known as the submerged weir or Ogge weir. So the right answer is option D, submerged weir. So moving to next question, question number 108. According to Bernoulli's equation, option A, Z plus P by W plus V square by 2G is equal to constant. Z plus P by W minus V square by 2G is equal to constant. Option C, Z minus P by W plus V square by 2G is equal to constant. Option D, Z minus P by W minus V square by 2G is equal to constant. So what is Bernoulli's theorem? Bernoulli's theorem states that total energy in a flowing liquid, the total energy in a flowing liquid remains at every section. The total energy in a flowing liquid will remains constant throughout its length. So the total energy of liquid at section 1 is always equal to section 2. So the total energy always remains constant in case of flowing fluid. So what is total energy? Total energy is the sum of potential energy, kinetic energy and pressure energy. So where potential energy is also known as potential head, kinetic energy is also known as kinetic head, pressure energy is also known as pressure head, where Z represents the potential energy, P by W represents the pressure energy and V square by 2G represents the kinetic energy. So the sum of potential energy, pressure energy and kinetic energy in a flowing liquid remains constant. So as per the statement, it is the summation, it is the sum. So we have to add both three. We have to add all three energies such as pressure energy, potential energy and kinetic energy. But in option there is a minus. It is not the summation, it is the subtraction. Option C is also subtraction, option D is also subtraction. This is not valid option. It is the sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy. So the right equation is Z plus P by W plus V square by 2G is equal to constant, or Z1 plus P1 by rho P1 by W plus V1 square by 2G is equal to Z2 plus P2 divided by W V2 square by 2G. So option B, option C, option D are not the right answer. Option A is the right answer. Next question, question number 109. The velocity at which flow changes from laminar flow to turbulent flow is known as dash. The velocity at which flow changes from laminar flow to turbulent flow is called dash. So consider a flow over a plate. Consider flow over a plate. So this is the turbulent flow. So this is the laminar flow. This is transition stage. So where laminar flow get converted into turbulent flow. So this is the turbulent flow. So a velocity at which a laminar flow is converted into turbulent flow is known as critical velocity. So option A, critical velocity is the right answer. So is the leading edge, and it is the trailing edge. So the velocity at leading edge is known as velocity of approach. This is the velocity of approach, and the velocity at trailing edge is velocity at exit. So what about subsonic velocity? If the velocity has a velocity which has the Mach number value less than 1, if m is less than 1, then it is known as subsonic velocity. If m is equal to 1, then sonic velocity. If m is greater than 1, then that is supersonic. M means Mach number. So if Mach number is more than 1, then the velocity is known as supersonic velocity. If Mach number is equal to 1, then the velocity is known as sonic velocity. If Mach number is less than 1, then the velocity is known as subsonic velocity. So a velocity at which flow changes from laminar to turbulent flow, a flow which changes from laminar to turbulent, then the velocity is known as critical velocity. Option A is the right answer. Next question, question number 110. The discharge through a convergent mouthpiece is dash the discharge through an internal mouthpiece of the same diameter and head of the water. So the discharge through convergent mouthpiece. So we have to draw the diagram of convergent. So convergent mouthpiece. So this is the convergent mouthpiece connected to a head H and the diameter D. So we have to write internal mouthpiece. So this is the internal mouthpiece which is subjected to same head H and diameter. So diameter D. So when a discharge through convergent, so this is the convergent type of mouthpiece and this is the internal mouthpiece. Convergent means the area of the mouthpiece goes on reduces gradually in case of convergent. In case of divergent, it gradually increases. So in case of convergent mouthpiece, the diameter should be gradually decreases. In case of divergent, it gradually increases. So this is the internal mouthpiece which is fitted inside the water tank. So which are having both of them having the same head and the same diameter. Then the discharge through convergent mouthpiece and discharge through internal mouthpiece. So the discharge through convergent mouthpiece is always 2 times the discharge through an internal mouthpiece when they are subjected to the same head and the same diameter. So same head and same diameter, if the discharge takes place, the discharge through convergent mouthpiece is 2 times of the discharge through internal mouthpiece. So this is the convergent mouthpiece, it is the internal mouthpiece. It always takes 2 times because of decrease in diameter. There is a decrease in area. When the area decreases, the velocity will increases. So because of velocity increases, so discharge area into velocity, so the discharge double. So option D is the right answer. So the discharge through a convergent mouthpiece is double the discharge through an internal mouthpiece of the same diameter and head of the water. So option D, double, is the right answer. It is not equal, it is not 1/2, it is not 3/4, it is the double. Next question, question number 111. The pressure measured with the help of pressure gauge is called dash. Option A, atmospheric pressure. Option B, gauge pressure. Option C, absolute pressure. option D, mean pressure. So the pressure exerted by atmosphere or the pressure present in atmosphere is known as atmospheric pressure. The pressure which can be measured by any pressure measuring instrument is known as gauge pressure, such as manometer and mechanical gauges. So a pressure which can be measured by any pressure measuring instrument is known as gauge pressure. Gauge pressure. What is absolute pressure? It is the sum of atmospheric and gauge pressure. So mean pressure is not a type of pressure. It is not related to this question. So the pressure measured with the help of any pressure gauge is known as gauge pressure. If the gauge pressure is 0, then it is the atmospheric pressure. So the pressure measured with the help of any pressure gauge is known as gauge pressure. So next question, question number 112. The unit of dynamic viscosity in SI unit is dash. Option A, Newton into meter per second square. Option B, Newton second per meter square. Option C, Poise. Option D, Stoke. So in SI unit here, he asked the unit in SI unit. So we know that shear stress or Newton's law of viscosity. So Newton's law of viscosity is given by du by dy. So where tau is the shear stress, mu is the dynamic viscosity, du is the change in velocity, dy is the change in thickness. So this is the Newton's law of viscosity. So I have to determine the unit of dynamic viscosity. So dynamic viscosity become tau into dy divided by du. So what is the unit of shear stress? Shear stress is given by Newton per meter square into y. Thickness, change in thickness is given in terms of meter. And what is the unit of velocity? That is meter per second. So this will becomes Newton meter second divided by meter cube. So mm cancel. Newton second per meter square. So Newton second per meter square is the SI unit of dynamic viscosity. Newton second per meter square is the SI unit of dynamic viscosity. In case of CGS system, it is known as Poise. Stoke is the CGS unit of kinematic viscosity. It is the unit of kinematic viscosity in CGS system. So Newton meter per second square is not a valid answer. So what is the SI unit of dynamic viscosity? Newton second per meter square. And Poise is the CGS unit of dynamic viscosity. Stoke is the CGS unit of kinematic viscosity. So but he is asking SI unit. So the SI unit of dynamic viscosity, option B, Newton second per meter square. Next question, question number 113. The pressure at a point in a given static mass of liquid is given by dash. Option A, P is equal to W into H. Option B, P is equal to W into H square. Option C, P is equal to 2 times of W into H. Option D, P is equal to WH by 2. So the pressure at a point in a given static mass of a liquid. So from hydrostatic law, we have that. So this is the static liquid. So that is static liquid having the mass. So the pressure at any point is given by, from the hydrostatic law, if we know the height or head of the water, so pressure is given by P is equal to rho into G into H, where rho is the density of liquid, G is the acceleration due to gravity, acceleration due to gravity, h is the height or height. So we know that specific weight is equal to rho into g. So the product of density of a liquid and the acceleration due to gravity is given by specific weight. So what is specific weight? Specific weight is defined as the ratio of weight of a liquid to the volume of a liquid. So where weight means m into g by v, m by v again it's a rho, mass by volume is a rho, and g. So we can write that P is equal to rho into g into h or W into h. So where W is the specific weight of the liquid and h is the height of the liquid. So if we know the density of liquid and the height of the liquid, we can find the pressure at any point. At any point we can find the pressure. So from the hydrostatic law, pressure formula is P is equal to rho into g into h in case of density, or P is equal to W into h, where W is the specific weight of liquid. Specific weight of liquid. Specific weight of liquid. So which is the product of density into g. So this is the formula. So option A is the right answer. Option B, option C, option D are not right answer. So moving to next question, question number 114. The loss of head at the entrance of pipe. Option A 3 by 2 v square by g. Option B v square by 4g. Option C v square by 2g. Option D 0.5 into v square by 2g. So we know that there are mainly two types of losses. Head loss. So there are mainly two types of head loss. Major loss and minor loss. Major loss and minor loss. So major loss is due to friction only. So friction only. We have two formulas to find the major loss or head loss due to friction, that is Darcy's-Weisbach formula and Chazy's formula to find the major loss or head loss due to friction. So minor loss occurs due to sudden expansion of pipe, sudden contraction of pipe at the entrance of pipe, at the exit of pipe, and due to the obstacle, due to the disturbance in pipe, due to the bending of pipe, due to the fittings of pipe. So these are all minor loss. So in which head loss at the entrance of pipe, at entrance of pipe. So at entrance of, when the fluid enters to a pipe, there is a small amount of head loss is known as head loss at the entrance of pipe. That is the minor loss which can be neglected in most of the cases. So this is the head loss at the entrance of pipe. So this is given by HF, head loss due to the entrance of pipe is 0.5 times of V square by 2G. So this is the head loss at the entrance of pipe. So option D is the right answer, 0.5 V square by 2G. So remaining three answers are not right answer. Option D, 0.5 into V square by 2G is the right answer. Next, last question, question number 115. The hydraulic mean depth is given by. The hydraulic mean depth is given by. Hydraulic mean depth is given by dash. Option A by, option A, P by A, option B, A by P, option C, A into P, option D, A plus P. So what is P? P is the wetted perimeter. What is V? Wetted perimeter. So wetted perimeter and A is the area of channel, area of notch अथवा area of channel. So what is hydraulic mean depth? Hydraulic mean depth so hydraulic mean depth is given by, it is the ratio of area to the wetted perimeter. Wetted perimeter, that is A by P. Hydraulic mean depth M is equal to A by P. Consider a rectangular channel. Consider a rectangular channel. So where D is the depth and B is the width. So area is given by B into D and perimeter, wetted perimeter is B plus 2 times of D. So this is the formula for a rectangular channel. But in case of most economical rectangular channel, B is always equal to 2 times of D. B is equal to 2 times of D. Then B 2D D divided by 2D plus 2D. It will become 2D square plus 4D, which means 1 by 2. So it's D by 2. So the hydraulic mean depth for most economical rectangular channel is D by 2, which means depth divided by 2. So the hydraulic mean depth is given by A by P, that is, it is the ratio of area of channel to the wetted perimeter of the channel. So option B is the right answer. Thank you.